Hey folks, this is Kelani. There's one area of the game which seems to get smaller and smaller with each expansion. Either players aren't as drawn to it, don't feel it's as rewarding as it should be, or something else is just pushing more players away from PvP. There's been countless changes to PvP over the last few expansions, many of which haven't really been received all too well. Back in Warlords, a good chunk of PvP was squished into the little teeny corner of Ashran. It was some of the only worthwhile PvP content to do during Warlords of Draenor, and quite a good chunk of it was actually PvE, so that was a little weird, and PvP hasn't really been able to stretch its wings in Legion either. A lot of Legion systems which deal with progression are disabled during PvP, which made it feel a little bit like PvPers didn't get to play with any of the cool new toys. But there's some news regarding PvP changes in Battle for Azeroth that might get a few of you lovely PvPers a little bit excited. So one interesting addition to PvP in Legion was your prestige and honor levels. It seemed simple enough. You level up your honor or prestige by playing any type of PvP, be that battlegrounds, arena, PvP world quests. If it included you slaughtering someone else, then it probably rewarded honor and allowed you to work your way up the prestige ranks. A lot of players felt like this was just another time gate, which also delayed your acquisition of PvP talents, and the system only benefited one of your characters. Well, honor levels will be account-wide in Battle for Azeroth, so no matter what character you're playing on, if you're earning honor, it's going towards an account-wide leveling system, so you can hop around your toons as often as you like without any penalties in that regard. There's also not going to be a cap on honor levels at all. They're going to be open-ended, just like how you level up in Overwatch. If you keep gathering up those delicious honor kills, you're going to keep leveling up. When you hit certain milestones, you'll be awarded with some prestige rewards. We're not too sure what those are going to look like, but with an open-ended leveling system, I bet there's going to be something cosmetic involved. Maybe a little change to your character portrait, new titles, and even some new mounts. I'm sure we'll get some confirmation on what kinds of rewards we'll be able to receive a little later in the development cycle, but in Battle for Azeroth, your honor level is going to reflect how much PvP you've done on your entire account, instead of just individual characters. There's quite a few systems which players have been asking for to become account-wide, and I think this was definitely at the top of a lot of PvPers' lists. But I wonder how many more systems they would allow to spread across all of your characters. How close are we to account-wide reputation or account-wide currency? That's maybe something to keep an eye on for the future. There's another change to what honor levels are going to affect, your honor talents. In Legion you had to work your way up the prestige ladder before you could use certain honor talents, but apparently this time around your honor talents will be tied to your actual character level instead of your honor level. So as soon as you reach level 110, you'll have all of your honor talents available to you even if you haven't ever touched a battleground. Some bits might be added to this preview a little later. It's a very early version of the new honor talents, so something might be added in later for 120. Sadly, this isn't available on the alpha properly just yet, so I can't go into full detail, but just know that your PvP talents won't actually be locked behind PvP anymore. They're just going to be like usual talents, except they only work in PvP instances and areas. Speaking of PvP areas, how about we make every single outdoor area a PvP area? Well, isn't that a fantastic idea? And that's exactly what the new War mode will allow you to do. This is basically the new PvP toggle option, except you can only turn it off or on in your capital city. That's because whatever shard or server you end up playing on will be decided by your War mode. If your War mode is toggled on, you'll be put onto War mode only shards with everyone else who enabled War mode. If you have it toggled off, then you get put into non-War mode shards where no one will have it enabled. The first thing this does is kind of nullifies the PvP tag your server has. If you're on a PvP server but run around with War mode off, you won't be able to attack anyone. If you're on a PvE server and have War mode enabled, you can smash your axe into the opposite faction's face whenever you see a hint of a red name out of the corner of your eye. You can choose what kind of server you want to play on at any time you want, and you can switch back and forth as often as you want, as long as you're in your capital city. You also don't have to worry about server imbalances because everyone who enables War mode will get thrown together. So if you're from Proudmoore, Illidan, Kil'jaeden, it doesn't matter. You're all going to be clashing swords and flinging frostbolts at each other on the same War mode servers. Perhaps the greatest change this system allows for is specific world PvP content. The dev team can introduce new events or scenarios to do with faction NPCs or strongholds. The Horde could assault one of the Alliance's keeps and try to kill their lord, while the Alliance defends it. There's a whole bunch of cool and interesting events they could come up with, and they're only going to be enabled enabled on these war mode servers. That means everyone involved has already opted in to smashing their face against someone from the opposite faction. The events wouldn't get in the way of players who don't want to take part in PvP, so everyone wins. Apparently, playing on war mode servers will also provide you with a few extra bonuses such as increased Azeroth rewards or extra experience, but remember, there's always the chance of being ambushed by your sworn enemies. Danger lies around every corner. The last bit of information I have for you lovely people is that Conquest Points will be making a return. This will allow you to earn pieces of gear in a similar way as we could before by earning a currency by completing Battlegrounds, Arena or any other PvP content. So in Battle for Azeroth we won't have to rely on boxes for random loot, we'll actually be able to work towards a set of gear properly. But it doesn't look like Conquest Points will be a normal currency as it was before. It's instead going to work like a progress bar. At the start of the week you'll be asked to earn a certain amount of Conquest Points, and if you hit the required threshold, you'll be awarded with a piece of gear. Once you collect a full set, you'll start receiving pieces from the next tier up. So you work your way through the tiers of gear until you have a full set of the best available PvP gear at that point in time. There's a few questions I have about this new setup, like whether or not your progress carries over week to week, and whether you can earn more than one item per week. From the little info we have on this topic, it seems like we might actually be limited to one piece of gear earned per week, but then they also say that there'll be ways to skip ahead for the gladiator type players, so I guess if you're really good you can earn more pieces of gear? I'm not too sure, but at least we'll have a way to actively progress towards the next piece of gear instead of being forced to play a slot machine. Account-wide honor levels, honor talents not locked behind PvP progress, war mode changing the way open world PvP works, and Conquest Points return to the fold. Not a bad list of changes for those who love to PvP. But what do you think? What changes to PvP would you like to see for Battle for Azeroth? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. Once again, a big thank you to our supporters over on Patreon. You guys are awesome sauce. If you'd like to join our motley crew, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.